Good morning, Jake.
Mike, how we doing, man?
Fantastic. Got a great question for today. I was on a coaching call 2 days ago with a client, and as a matter of fact, it seems like a litany of emails I've been receiving about this. Several people have been trying marketing systems and 5, 6 different gurus. They're getting into these meetings. They're not closing sales. They're not converting. They're not asking. They're not aggressive enough. They're not disruptive enough. We need to unpack the process of marketing. We need to unpack the process of the ask. I mean, the true ask. When you get in front of people, how in a disruptor's way would you ask for a sale? Go.
Yeah, and I've had the same conversations, and that's why we're talking about this today. Is there's a bucket load of, hey, get on, do your social media, do this, we'll get you 10,000 leads, we'll sign this up, we'll get you more people. And the people they're targeting is those that don't have any revenue right now. They're targeting, honestly, in our opinion, like the non-disruptors. They're all great. They're all great, right? They all work when you use them. But if you don't have revenue and you don't have stuff in the first place, you can't pay for that stuff. And all that stuff's like 90 days, 6 months, a year down the road before you're going to convert it. So like, to your question, it's the art of the ask. It is asking for the business, not assuming people know what you do or have a clue. I mean, of what you do. You have to tell them, you have to teach people how to treat you. Like, you've got to teach them how to treat you. And that's the absolute thing. In all of my businesses that I have built over the years that are referral-based businesses, I had to teach every single person how to refer me. I had to teach them. I had to spend time with them. Here's the script. Listen to the words coming out of my mouth. Now, I get the fact that Michael and I are unscripted and a little bit, untethered when we're doing this, but we're working on concepts. But when it comes to sales calls, we have scripts we run when we're specifically talking to people, and we have for years, because it requires us to be scripted, right? It requires us to be scripted. And it's just the art of the ask. Like, I could dive so deep into this. So when you're asking, like, let's go this way so we don't get Jake on his tangent. When you're asking specifically for the sale, for the close, like, when do you start that process? Like, during the conversation, let's assume I'm a brand new client to you. When do you start the process of asking?
Okay, so let me back up real quick. So getting Jake off a tangent is like getting a white marlin off the line. I mean, you cast that thing, you're 3.5 hours out, boom, it's on a reel, and all it's buzzing. So here I am yanking this conversation back over to my way. So I'm glad you asked that question. I go by 3 layers, right? So before I get ready to even approach the ask, it depends on how I've got the person, okay? Where am I? What environment am I in? Am I on a Zoom? Am I in person? Is somebody in front of me in a buying state of mind? So to frame this question up correctly, I'm assuming I'm in some sort of environment where I'm trying to get somebody to take a next action. Okay. Sometimes that next action could be an opt-in. Sometimes that next action could be, hey, give me $10,000. I'm going to go on the premise we're asking for the big ticket sale of the time. Just know it's important to frame the environment you're in. It's important to understand what you're asking the person for, and then it's important to understand the outcome of the ask and what happens next. So when I get ready to ask somebody, okay, are you ready for this? Can I introduce you to this process? Are you willing to purchase from me? It goes something like this. I sit and I listen, or they listen to something that I have put out on the internet. And then I ask, okay, if this identifies with you and you feel that this can unlock the results you're looking for, let's go ahead and get you signed up. Let's move you into the action phase of trying to accomplish what it is you're trying to accomplish. Let's go, Jake. Let's get in here and let's get to work. And then right after that, there's a pause. That pause we worked on probably 1 or 2 episodes ago, where we just both kind of smiled in that dead space. You're going to hear this come up a lot. The pause is key in disruption. How how disruptors do things is set something in motion and then stop. And then boom, they set it in motion again. So for me, it's directly talking about, are you willing to take the next steps? And let's go. How does that land to you, Jake, when you hear that? What does that sound like to you? Do I sound like a good
you made a couple absolutely key observations that are in there. One is the pause. Like we've talked about that before. There's so much power in the pause of where that's going to go. And when you came into that, one of the things that you kind of blew by, and yet it's so critically important in this, is you said it and you do it, and I know you do it. And it's listening. And it's listening to understand, listening for context, not listening to respond. This isn't a Michael's going to say a thing, then Jake's going to say whatever Jake was planning on saying anyway, right? This is the listening for the, oh, I hear this is where your problem is. Like, tell me more about that. And you unpack 3 deep to that space. But it's a active listening piece to understand where you are in the sales conversation. That's an understanding. And again, it's a script. Like, you know where your pauses are. You know exactly what am I listening for in this? You know, what's the service? What's the product I provide? What should I be listening for? What problem do I solve for them? Right? That's what you're listening for, is what the pain is on that side. Here's the plus one to that. The reason we don't ask, like there's only one reason we don't ask for the business. I know you're kind of guessing. You're like, I hate playing guess what Jake's thinking.
Why?
Right?
There's only one reason why, because I want to be broke.
Right. It's fear. It's the only stupid reason. Like, we're afraid they're going to say no.
Right.
Did we die? No, we did not die if they said no. That is just how that goes. We're just so terrified of hearing that no. Part of that is, like, I've heard it a billion different ways, right? No is just a yes at another time. It's just no today. It's a yes later. It's a relationship that you have to build, but you always have to ask. So, like, you can go way back into this. And there was a class, and I don't even remember. This is probably early 2000s. It used to be called Language of Sales. There were some other sales classes that came up from that. Car dealers, like car salespeople, are trained on this stuff hours a day before they're even allowed to get out and get the lot. And it's how to ask questions. It's how to actively listen. Like, I dare you, go to a car dealership and try not to buy a car. Like, first of all, try not to buy a car, because we're not telling you to do that. Go and listen to the salesman. How is he getting in a relationship with you? What are the questions he's asking? Dude's training on this. And this is where this is. And part of this is that conversation I had even yesterday with a client that was calling me, just asking about different things. And they're like, I want to sign up for this marketing plan, and I want to sign up for this social media plan. And I want to sign up for this, and I want to sign up for this, and I want to sign up for this. And I asked him, I'm like, so how many appointments do you have set right now this week? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, how many sales appointments do you have set this week? And he just glossed over. Like, he just wasn't even there. So he's not even thinking sales. Dude's got a database of like 5,000 people that he's not asking the business for.
Well, maybe you should introduce him to me, and I'll show him how it's done.
Right. And you can, and that's what we're demonstrating. That's what we're talking about specifically to this art of the ask. So, like, for me, it's all about those questions in the beginning. And there's the other thing that I typically will do in this is I will start doing what's called soft closes in these conversations, like right away, immediately. I don't care if I've never met you before in my life. We are going to start soft closing together. And it sounds just like that. You just heard me do one, right? You and I are going to, when you and I are in business together, when you and I are working together, it's a soft close. It's a presumptive close that starts working in that person's mind in such a way that you're setting the stage so that the ask is so much easier because you've built the ask up over X amount of times. Like, there's an algorithm out there that works. Like, for me, I don't count them anymore. I used to count. I have to do a presumptive close 6 times before. That used to be the thing I used to chase, right? I got to get 6. I have to presumptively close 6 times or get 3 no's before I ask for the close, before I even get there. That was just my standard set of rules, but I had to presumptively close them several times. But I do it right out of the gate. I mean, immediately. And if I'm going to, same thing for referrals. if I want to teach somebody how to refer me, I'm going to have that conversation immediately. I want to set that expectation that my business is one referral based. Like, you're going to work with me and you're going to be happy about it. I don't want you to write me a Google review. You're going to refer your friends and family to me.
Right.
I'm literally just telling them what I want you to do. I'm teaching them how to.
That same amount of time it takes to write that Google review, you can have them, referring you somebody. But I want to stop you there for a second, because there's something else that came to mind about fear, and I think certain people don't want to admit this. And this again is a disruptive statement. I think certain people don't want to admit this, but they're a little bit afraid of maybe they're misleading a prospect, or maybe they don't have the confidence to deliver what they say they're going to deliver. Well, I want to address that real quick. I want to talk to that person in that mindset real fast. If for some reason you're not asking for the close because you're not confident in your skill set to deliver, you should be confident in delivering what you say you are going to deliver if somebody follows your process. So the key is, if you're pitching somebody, especially high ticket, the result is tied to how much they adhere to what the program you say is. It is not whether you actually get the result or not. It's the adherence to your program. Yes, we all want to get results. Yes, we want to operate with ethics and honesty. But fear comes into play in the back of the mind when you're not confident in your skill set to deliver. That used to happen early on in my career.
Yeah.
I suffered from that greatly. I discounted my stuff. I had low sort of business self-esteem. Totally different story now, because I don't oversell to anybody. And even if I know that right now somebody is coming to me for something that they need and it's not completely clear, but I know that if I can get through a few roadblocks, we'll get them on their page, then I will move us into a closing transaction so I can help that person accelerate, truncate the timeline, and get to their goal quicker by utilizing my service. Now, when I say that to you, Jake, about that self-confidence out there in the world, what are you experiencing? I mean, you're a business coach. You've got a lot of clients. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about somebody who might be afraid of not being able to deliver, and that's the psychology block behind the ask. I know the soft close is great and all that stuff, but I feel like if somebody's not here in the heart, here in the mind, kind of aligned on what the result they're producing is, or their self-confidence, I feel like all the stuff in the world is not going to matter.
Yeah, I went, you and I walked that same path, right? I walked the exact same path to where I used to discount things just to make it happen, get there. And I realized something. I didn't realize. I got help to realize this particular thing, right? I got a coach that showed me this was true. I was attached to their outcome, right? That was my personal fear. I was attached to their personal outcome, whether it was results. And at the time, like, we were fresh entrepreneurs. There was a time that, like, okay, I no longer have a active paycheck. I no longer can commit to that. This has got to happen. I've got to make money. I was attached to my personal financial outcome as well. So therefore, I was terrified. If they said no, that affected my paycheck. And I was attached to that outcome. So I had to make the decision. I had to choose, like, their results are theirs. I own the process. They own the results, right? I deliver on the process. I'm confident in the process. I know our process. I know my process. And I'm not financially attached to the outcome. And guess what happened? I started making more money than I was before. They started getting the results they wanted because they plugged in. I was not engaged in that. So I don't want to say dispassionate, but I guess that's the easiest way to say that. Like, I was not emotionally engaged and emotionally charged in that space. And that's what I see. A lot of people are stuck in that, attached to the outcome, right? I've got to sell my low ticket, medium ticket, high ticket offer. And if I don't, I don't know how, like, I'm going to buy groceries. Like, right. So we're in the wrong space already. If it's about the customer, if it's about the client, and you have a process that solves the problem for them, they own the result. Like you don't, if you're guaranteeing results, that might be different. You might feel differently about that, but we all own the processes. Like a gym owner cannot go in there and go, man, every single person in here, like he doesn't lose sleep at night if people are not losing weight. People are not getting fit. They're not running marathons. No, he owns the equipment. He owns the facility. He owns the process. He can provide the resource. They have to do the thing. And that's the reality. That's what I came to realize from, and like you and I have both crashed and burned at this in the beginning. We know that that's true. And here's the stuff that we know that works now.
Well, I want to make, while we're on this conversation about processes and stuff, in our back office, in our community, we have a lot of these things laid out. We have interviews and we have people that have done this kind of thing before. People talk about it in depth on how they've changed their life, went from here to here, built systems, built fear-based solutions, and helped out thousands of people. So if you guys are interested in having this conversation a little deeper and a little further than this show, our website is total-disruption.com. Total-disruption.com. It's right here on the page. We got tinyurl.com/total disruption. Either one of those two should be working. tinyurl.com/total disruption. Come check us out. Come check our community out if you like what you hear. So what you were saying about echoing on the results and echoing on the process, it is lockstep. And I have to say that when you're down the fresh to seasoned entrepreneur game, nothing ever changes, right? These fundamentals, they when you grow your business and you have employees, the same thing is going to happen. If you're a person that's a solopreneur that hasn't had systems in place to ask for the sale because of confidence in deliverable, when you go to ask somebody to work for you or subcontract for you and represent your brand, you're also selling that person a life. You're selling that person revenue, income. You're selling the dream of ascension to this person, from financial wherever they are to financial wherever they want to be, or lifestyle wherever they are to wherever they want to be. I think that's very important to play. Now, I've got a book for us right now. T. Boone Pickens, The First Billion's the Hardest.
Oh, that's a great one.
I highly recommend everybody read that. It's the same amount of work and it's the same amount of effort to do the 1 billion as it is to do 5 billion. So I highly recommend you read that book. Jake, I believe we're out of time. Do you have any closing words for us?
The other one is 2X is harder than 10X. That one's super popular right now too. It is, man. You can just get your head around asking for the business. That's your job. When it comes right down to it, that is your primary job. So, I mean, it's not, you're not going to die from getting a no. I have a great salesperson that I know that's absolutely amazing. He goes to work every day and he knows his numbers in such a way. His goal every day is to get 36 no's. 36 no's a day makes him insanely rich. And he will tell you that from stage. Like, I've heard him speak on it a million times. 36 no's will make me insanely rich. He's embraced the power of being told no. That's what I tell you about it, guys.
Awesome, Jake. Well, we're out of time. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.
Catch us on the backside, guys.